Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve so much in life, while others, equally talented, struggle year after year? Why is it that some rise from nothing to build empires, while others, with every advantage, never seem to get off the ground? For years, I asked myself that question. In my early life, I had no education, no special skills, and no connections. I worked at hard labor jobs, washing dishes, pumping gas, digging ditches. And yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that life had more to offer. I discovered something that changed my life forever. Success is not an accident. Success is a science. Achievement is governed by laws and principles that work for everyone, everywhere, at any time, just like the law of gravity. And today, I want to share those laws with you. Not theories, not opinions, but principles that have been proven in the lives of millions. If you understand them, believe them, and apply them, you can predict your own future. 1. Success is predictable, not accidental. The first law of the science of success is this: success leaves clues. Just as a scientist in a laboratory can repeat an experiment and get the same results, so too can you repeat the behaviors of successful people and get the same outcomes. This discovery changed my life. When I realized that success wasn't about luck or about being born into the right family, I suddenly had hope. Because if other people could do it, I could too. Think about it. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you'll get burned every time. That's science. If you plant wheat, you'll get wheat, not corn. That's science. And if you do the things that successful people do, over and over, you'll eventually get the same results. That is the science of success. 2. The power of clear vision. Now, every science begins with a hypothesis. And in the science of success, the first step is clarity. You must know exactly what you want. Imagine trying to build a house without a blueprint. You could work hard, bring in materials, hire workers, but without a clear plan, the result would be chaos. Life is the same. People without vision drift. People with vision achieve. I remember when I was young and broke, living in a small apartment. One of my mentors said, "Brian, sit down and write out your ideal life in detail. Where would you live? What would you do? How much would you earn? Who would you spend your time with?" That exercise changed me. Suddenly, I had a vision. It wasn't just wishful thinking, it was a plan. And from that day on, I began moving in that direction. Clarity is the starting point of all success. 3. The principle of responsibility. The next step in the science of success is responsibility. You must accept complete ownership of your life. As long as you blame others, your boss, your past, your circumstances, you give away your power. But the moment you say, "I am responsible," everything changes. Because if you are responsible, then you can change. When I first accepted this truth, I was terrified. But I was also free. No longer was I a victim of the world. I was the architect of my destiny. That single decision, to stop making excuses, was one of the greatest turning points of my life. 4. The science of goal setting. Now, let's talk about goals. Goal setting is not just a motivational idea. It's a scientific process. When you write down a goal, you activate the reticular cortex of your brain, the mental radar that begins to notice opportunities, resources, and ideas connected to that goal. Suddenly, you start seeing things that were invisible to you before. When I first wrote down my income goal, it was 10 times more than what I was earning. At the time, it seemed impossible. But within a few years, I achieved it. And it all began with writing it down. Your brain is like a guided missile. Once you set the target, it automatically adjusts your direction, your actions, and your habits to move you toward it. That's not inspiration, it's science. 5. Self-discipline as the master key. Of course, writing down goals is not enough. The real key is self-discipline. Discipline is the ability to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. It is the master skill of success. I'll give you an example. Years ago, I decided to write my first book. I had never written a book before. The idea was overwhelming, but I made a simple rule: write 1 page a day, no matter what. Some days I wrote poorly. Some days I didn't feel like it, but I wrote anyway. 1 year later, I had 365 pages. And that became my first book, a book that has sold in dozens of countries. Not because I was the most talented writer, but because I was disciplined. That's the power of consistency. 6. The law of cause and effect. Now, let's go deeper. The law of cause and effect is the foundation of the science of success. Everything happens for a reason. If you can identify the cause, you can create the effect. If you want health, follow the causes of health: good diet, exercise, rest. If you want wealth, follow the causes of wealth: add value, manage money, serve more people. I often tell my audiences, if you want to predict the future, look at your habits. Because habits are causes and results are effects. Change your habits and you change your future. 7. The role of continuous learning. The next principle is continuous learning. In science, progress comes from discovery. In life, progress comes from learning. I made a vow early in my career to read at least one book per week. I listened to audio programs in my car. I attended seminars. Over time, that learning compounded. It gave me ideas, strategies, and insights that I would never have discovered on my own. The rule is simple: if you want to earn more, you must learn more. Lifelong learning is not optional. It is essential. 8. Courage, risk, and taking action. Now let's talk about courage. Courage is the catalyst of success. It is the willingness to take risks, to act despite fear. Every achievement requires risk. Starting a business, asking for a promotion, making an investment, speaking up for what you believe. When I began my first sales job, I was terrified of rejection, but I made a decision to knock on one more door, to make one more call, no matter how I felt. And do you know what happened? With every action, my fear diminished. Action is the antidote to fear. 9. The power of persistence and resilience. The 9th principle is persistence. Success is not a straight line. It is a series of failures, lessons, and comebacks. Think of every great inventor, every great leader, every great entrepreneur. Their success stories are built on persistence. When I was building my speaking career, I was rejected hundreds of times. I gave talks to small audiences, sometimes only 2 or 3 people. But I persisted, and over time, doors opened. Today, I have spoken to millions. The lesson is simple: you cannot fail if you refuse to quit. 10. Contribution and service as the highest measure of success. Finally, let us speak about the highest level of success: a contribution. The measure of true achievement is the value you create for others. The most successful people are those who dedicate their lives to service. Whether it is a product, a service, an idea, or a legacy, success is about leaving the world better than you found it. And here's the paradox: the more you focus on helping others, the more success flows back to you. Contribution is not only noble, it is profitable. Closing, so let us review the science of success and achievement. Success is predictable. It begins with clarity. Responsibility gives you power. Goals direct your energy. Discipline builds momentum. Cause and effect ensure results. Learning accelerates progress. Courage sparks action. Persistence guarantees victory. Service creates lasting impact. These are not opinions. These are laws. They are as real as gravity. They are as reliable as sunrise. And here is the final truth: if you commit to following these laws consistently and faithfully, success becomes inevitable. Your future is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. It is not luck. It is science. So I challenge you, take these principles, apply them starting today, and build the life you were meant to live. The science of success and achievement is in your hands. Use it, and you will never be the same again. Thank you.